Hello everybody, welcome back to another Rambling Rant review. After a long 2 weeks, we are finally able to look at RWBY Volume 3, Chapter 10, The Battle of Beacon. I am hyped for this episode, aside from anticipating this airing for a long 2 weeks. Even just seeing the name before hitting play, Battle of Beacon, I immediately start getting flashes of the Battle of Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings, also known as the Battle of the Hornbird for you Lord of the Rings nerds. I am looking forward to some epic fight scenes this episode, and I really think they're gonna deliver. Let's begin. Continuing where we left off 2 weeks ago, people are panicking, Grimm are swarming like a zergling rush, and the Atlas robot guards are as effective as bloody stormtroopers on Endor. Seriously, who programmed these things how to aim? Blake and Weiss are here among the commotion too, taken aback by what's all happening. They check in on Yang, and her first thing to inquire is how her sister RWBY is. Now, this is interesting, because I don't know exactly what to think about this scene. Blake reassures Yang that RWBY will be alright, and Yang begins clenching her fist, saying,
"Right."
It could mean several things, but I'm gonna go with probably the most straightforward one, that she is fighting those big sister instincts, trying to reassure herself that RWBY will be okay without her. She is off to the docks, with Zwei skipping to battle with her. Blake and Weiss also made the decision to go to the docks. Some things to note for this scene. Blake has some very nice facial animations going on here. Her looks of worry and concern are very convincing, coupled with some great voice acting from Aaron here, too, especially with this line.
"We're going to the docks, and we're doing our job."
This is the most emotionally charged I've seen Blake this entire volume, outside of the fish ramen scene. Character-wise, it's also interesting to see Weiss taking a following stand instead of a leadership role. I think it shows that she has matured enough to ask a consensus of those around her, instead of just barking orders immediately. My only complaint with these scenes is that while Yang is already fighting Grimm off camera, there are tons of Grimm running behind Blake and Weiss without them needing to dodge or attack any of them. People are being carried off by Nevermores, and nothing's going after them. At least seeing them maybe duck into cover at the beginning of the scene would have at least set the stage as to why they're not being attacked. But whatever. We switch over to the arena, still under attack by the Nevermore. And before I get into this scene, it's nice to hear that the sad music has carried over from one scene to the next. It helps show that this is not a transition in time, but only place. Everything is occurring at the same time, also conveying that everyone present, from Blake, Weiss, and Yang, leading into everybody over in the arena, the next scene, are feeling the same emotional baggage from Penny's death last episode. Jean seems to be the only one with his head on straight right now, running out to help Pyrrha, who is in such a state of shock that she doesn't even notice the Nevermore hammering away on the shield. Talking about the shield, it looks like the Grimm didn't even need inside help from Mercury like I was thinking they would to break through, because pop, there it goes, knocking over Pyrrha and Jean, and more importantly, if you look closely, blowing Penny's broken parts off of the arena, out of the way. Hopefully, they will stay to the side where they won't get any more damaged. The Nevermore lunges for the staggered Pyrrha, only to be stopped by RWBY using her spiral speed cape attack, armed with none other than one of Penny's swords that were blown off to the side. Look at that stance, too. It makes perfect sense that she would know how to properly use a sword. She was originally trained by Crow, who is also a swordsman as well as a scythe user. Leave her alone! Whoa! Did you hear that? She is ready to take on that Nevermore herself. That line has like a oomph to it, like kind of like Ridley from Aliens.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Now, we finally get to what the show is about. RWBY, as in RUBY. Look at her. This is where she shines. When the chips are down, she will never turn her back on her friend. She is always there to defend. She is the one who they can Okay, aside from that marvelously delivered line from Lindsay, even Ruby's stance looks commanding, mature. Heck, did they add a few inches to her height in this scene while we weren't looking? Oh, wow. Dramatic gearing up. After those lockers hit, wow. Almost everyone is here. Team Sun, Team Coffee, Team Aburn, and the 2 of Team Funky. Oh yeah. But no Team Indigo. I was kind of hoping we'd get to see them fight again soon, but I'm guessing they must be down at the festival grounds, or maybe already went back home. Because, you know, we at least saw Roy Stallion from Team Bronze down there last episode. And then again, somewhere in the beginning of this episode. What? You didn't see him this episode? Look closely. Shit! Their combined force takes the Nevermore out swiftly with a neat version of the X-Strike attack by Sage and Yatsuhashi. Pyrrha, though, is still guilt-ridden. But everybody knows what happened was not her fault. But this is unfortunately not a time for words, because now there are freaking Grim Griffins? That's new. But the team doesn't stick around to fight them, because Oobleck and Port arrive to fend them off so the kids can escape. But not before Velvet snaps another picture, which may turn out to be her best. Sounds like Peter Port found the hunt that he's always been looking for, and I love that scene. That's great, just that little bit. Professor Port literally laughing at the face of danger, the sudden zoom out, revealing the 7 circling Griffins they intend to hold back. And I really believe that Griffins are on a totally different tier than Nevermore's, just due to how seriously Oobleck and Port are taking this fight. Also, a bit of their mythology says that Griffins are insanely tough, but we'll get into that another day. During the evacuation, we get a bit of shaky cam to show us the panic of everyone evacuating, and also this wide shot to show how many people are still left in the arena. Also, again, the music. If you notice, it's not the music that's playing, it's the music that's not there. If you listen, the music has subsided for just a little bit, so you can hear the worried chatter and sobbing of the people trying to get away. This scene is so bloody Titanic-esque that I half expect a violinist to start playing Nearer My God to Thee.
Gentlemen, it has been a privilege playing with you tonight.
Then just when you thought shit couldn't get worse, the White Fangs show up and start dropping more Grim into the stadium. The freaking robots are still useless, but here we go. Ironwood goes beast mode. Just jumped up 10 spots on my most badass adults of RWBY list. So, what did we learn from this fight? 1. Ironwood is a seasoned fighter. He was in control of that fight the entire time. No missteps. Secondly, he's ambidextrous. During this fight, his gun was in his left hand. But, while addressing the kids, it's in his right. This isn't anything too special, but it does lead into my next theory. That Ironwood's arm is robotic. That's why he shoots with his left, to keep his stronger robotic arm free for hand-to-hand combat. Let's also take a quick look at Ironwood's weapon. It's what looks to be a 6-barrel revolver with 2 triggers, one in front of the other, which I can only guess is that the front one is for regular rounds, and the other trigger behind it is for explosive rounds. It is a beautiful weapon, even if it just seems to be a gun. Lastly, on a production note, that scene was animated by Dylan Gu. I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So, props on an amazing fight scene, Dylan. I hope we see more like this. After showing the world his badassedness, Ironwood gives the kids a choice. Fight or run. Come on, we all know what they're gonna do. We switch to Tortrick messing around in the Atlas ship.
Oh, fun!
Where he eventually connects an infected scroll to the ship's computer. And guess what? I freaking called it! Well, partially. I originally thought the Atlas robots and Penny would turn on their masters, but it was just the robots. Still, what a lovely tea party, if I do say so myself. The way they turn on the hunters and huntresses they were helping felt like Torchwick just told them to execute Order 66. Oh man, if those poor huntsmen, didn't have enough on their plate already, well, at least the robots are still holding true to the whole stormtrooper thing, and they still can't hit the broadside of a ship. No! Then again, Ironwood's ship goes down. And RWBY, seeing this, makes the decision to go to the Atlas ship in his stead. But how would she get up there? By rocket locker, of course. Now, this is great. Not only does it display RWBY's quick thinking and decision making, but this scene was actually foreshadowed in a joke back in Volume 2, Episode 11. Jaundice. When Cardin shoves Jean into a locker and launches it with Jean in it. Not only showing us that the lockers can be reprogrammed to fly wherever, but it can also support the weight of a person. Such a freaking epic flight scene too, and it looks like we might actually get a RWBY versus Neo fight, which I think could be such a good and interesting fight. Even though Neo trounced Yang last time, RWBY is more of a tactical fighter who is also now aware that there are people out there with hallucination or illusion semblances. She knows what Neo can do semblance-wise. That could be used to her advantage. We go back to the ground at the docks where Blake and Weiss are fighting off the White Fang and eventually have to split to help soldiers also being attacked by their own robots, not to mention more Grimm. Blake rounds a corner in chase of a Beowulf and happens upon none other than Adam Taurus.
Hello, my darling.
Oh my god, that was so creepy. Like something out of Cape Fear or Sleeping with the Enemy kind of stalker type creepy. Nope. This version of Adam is definitely different than the Adam we saw in the flashback. I like that version better. Adam the Revolutionary. I wonder if something happened that has changed him mentally since then. Now this next scene has to be my favorite cinematography-wise, giving me a super Tim Burton vibe, incorporating a first-person roller coaster view tilting left and right with what is called a Dutch angle. Every shot is slightly tilted to kind of show us the madness of the scene and works itself into a great transition of that roller coaster, bringing us up the final hill of the ride where Cinder awaits. She is admiring her work, reveling in it. But Emerald seems to have some guilt. Maybe there can be some redemption for her? Mercury, on the other hand, is enjoying it all too much. Ass. Even broadcasting it all from his scroll. Again, pushing Cinder's fake war to spread fear. Being able to push that message even further now that we have Atlas robots attacking Veil soldiers and huntsmen, making the rest of the world think that the kingdoms are at war. She is basically inventing World War II. I think it would be World War II for Remnant. I'll get back to you on that. Osmond, watching from his tower, can't take any more, and it seems like he's about to head out, but is stopped by an earthquake? What the hell? Dragon! Holy crap on a stick! That's a huge ass dragon that it burst out of a mountain. It was the size of a mountain. Wait. Was that mountain maybe Mountain Glen? Okay, let's science this shit up for a sec, just to maybe help support the theory that maybe this mountain is Mountain Glen. I'm gonna support this argument with the moon. Unless this moon is in a retrograde orbit, which is very rare, regular moons rise in the east and set in the west, and Mountain Glen is said to be in the southeast. Along with that, it stands to say that this grim dragon may have indirectly caused the fall of Mountain Glen, but also made the naturally forming tunnels that the people of Mountain Glen tried to hide in when the main city fell. Then, when the backup city fell to subterranean Grimm, they are the Grimm that were probably born of this sleeping dragon who also dug those tunnels decades before. And now, he descends on Vale. Pooping out Grimm as he goes. Seriously, now as if anything else could go wrong. Back to our Team B heroes who are in a heroic pose yet again, even showing that Pyrrha is back in top form, mentally at least, until Ozpin arrives. Looks like you're late for your aura transfer appointment, Miss Nikos. And look, Cinder is right there too, like she knew this would happen. Oh, those glowy eyes aren't evil and ominous at all. Come on! And that's it. That's the end of it. So, what do I see happening? An epic fight between RWBY and Neo for one. Yang may be using this confusion as a cover to run away after all the dust has settled. You know, she said she would be at the docks. And we never saw her, even when Blake and Weiss were there. Ironwood probably survived the crash, but will appear with his robot arm all torn up, showing a bit of the metal. Blake versus Adam, and maybe some backstory as to why Adam has changed. Possibly, maybe some sort of grim mind control or parasite? Then, Ozpin and Pyrrha fighting Cinder off in order to attempt the Fall Maiden aura transfer. Either that, or maybe Pyrrha will go into the machine first, and it will be Ozpin defending her and the machine, and Amber fighting Cinder until the transfer takes place. And lastly, either next episode, or at least before the end of the series, I partially expect RWBY to get control of the ship. Either, at least, shutting it down, crashing it into the ocean, or away from the city to get control of the Atlas robots back, or at least shutting them off, or possibly ramming it into the Grim Dragon, as possibly that's the only way you could probably take something that huge down, just ram a bloody ship into it. And also, I fully expect the cross-continental transmit towers, at least the one in Vale, to come crashing down one way or another. Oh well, that's the end of my theories, but one last thing I'd like to mention about the credits before I go is that the wonderful concept art, especially the concept art for the dragon playing during the credits, were drawn up by none other than Erin Wynn. She is one of Rooster Teeth's newer artists for this volume. I featured her in a news segment before. I'll put an annotation in for that. It is such an epic dragon, and the drawing is so wonderful and detailed. I really hope they put out an art book or something like that. Maybe like as a collector's series with the Blu-rays of that. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I can't wait to see this epic dragon fight. That's all for me, everyone. Again, as usual, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, please join me on Tumblr, Twitter, the social medias, they're all good. And as always, this is just my opinion. I am not an expert. If you would like to know something, or know something that I don't, feel free to leave a comment below and we shall debate. And until next time, good night, everybody! Ooh.